Welcome back, guys, to Baby Got Stacks.
We got something a little different this week. We each read something different.
Yes, yeah, we thought we'd give it a fun little twist just because there's so many good spooky books for October
So many.
that we wanted to maybe see if this was something that we could do in the future. And I think we do have another week
We
sometime,
have something scheduled, yeah.
okay, that we were wanting to do two different books. So hopefully you guys like this kind of different, I don't know, concept of the podcast
Yeah.
because we we obviously knew what each other read in the sense of like the book titles and stuff and kind of
Yeah.
what they were about. But we're gonna dive a little deeper into what we
Gonna dive
read.
deep.
It's gonna get real deep.
Real deep.
Real deep.
Alrighty. How do you want to go first? Shall I go first?
Mine's pretty easy. Like
It's pretty
I can go
quickish.
yeah, I mean it's like three something, 326
Mine's even shorter.
pages. But my
Yours is romance, yeah.
the words were
Oh, those are
bigger.
big.
The words were bigger. So this book is called Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue. And I
TikTok?
found this book on TikTok. Yeah, some
Yeah.
girl was talking about it and I don't remember who. I wish that I knew I really need to find those
Start writing it
usernames
down, yeah.
and start letting people
Holding them
know.
accountable.
Yeah, but this has beautiful illustrations
Yeah, throughout the book.
throughout the
Really
book.
good.
Um,
Like,
so every chapter has the beginning of a chapter has an illustration. Sometimes it's just like the moon and the
behind the words,
stars,
behind the
or
text. That's
yeah,
pretty.
they're always behind the text. Sometimes you can figure out what they are. Most of the time, like I have no idea what that could possibly even be. Maybe a cup, maybe a drink.
I think it's a drink with
Okay.
ice.
Okay.
Final answer.
Sometimes that does make sense. But other times, like that's just I think a close up of text. So, this book has two POVs, Dax and Blair. Those are the two main characters. So I guess I could read the back of the book.
Yeah.
So, every witch knows you shouldn't use spells for revenge. Blair doesn't care much for right and wrong, but she's already on the council's radar. What's the best mortal way to get back at a cheating ex-boyfriend? Bewitching his dad, of course. Dax was supposed to be a retribution, but he turns out to be so much more. She's drawn to him in a way she's never felt for a man before, but it's clear Dax is so much more than the average man. There's a mystery to him, and she's dead set on figuring him out. With multiple supernatural entities breathing down her neck, and her need to avoid the council's wrath, Blair's desperate to get everything she wants. It might take more than she's willing to give to untangle herself from the lies and chaos she's created. So this book, I will tell you, this book is very spicy. So I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I thought that the writing was good. It was very easy to keep track of the multiple POVs.
Right.
It had some good kind of like FBI work to it at one point, which I kind of liked that. I also liked, so this book kind of gave me like Halloween Town, but like adult version. So in this town, there's like vampires, werewolves, fairies, like there's all these different kinds of characters, but there's humans also. And so they kind of have to tame it down or like human forms or things like that.
Okay, so humans don't know.
Correct. They kind of like, so Blair, who's the main character, her cousin's name is Stevie. They own a restaurant and like a bar tavern called Hex, and they make drinks in potion bottles. So like,
love it.
You kind
I'd
of
hit that up.
Right? And so Stevie's the bartender and she makes like all these different drinks. She's a witch. Her Blair's mom is a witch and has her own coven, but Blair does not get along with her mom at all. And so she really doesn't like to be in the coven, but they did a blood ritual, so she kind of has to be in the coven.
Coven.
Mm-hmm. It's Coven. Yeah. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. I don't know why I went Coven. Okay. Who knows? It's Coven. Not Coven. Don't listen to me. I'm thinking about the book now,
We're
and I'm
all
getting
jittery.
the one downside that I didn't like was he would call her pet and she would call him daddy.
Why
And
is it always... We should make a list of the awful pet names and descriptors.
Also, I forgot to bring up the dedication to this book is probably like my favorite thing ever. It says dedication for my petty bitches. P.S. Ryan, I'm glad we never fucked. You made a crude song about my name, so I named a villain after you. Middle finger emoji. And there is a middle finger on the dedication.
Yeah, it's a picture of a hand flipping off.
Yeah. So Blair is dating Ryan. Ryan is human, has no idea that Blair is a witch. Blair does not like Ryan, and Stevie's like, you need to break up with him. And so she goes to break up with him, and then he asks, hey, do you want to meet my dad? She's like, yeah, I guess I'll meet your dad. And she knows that the dad's like really hot. And so come to find out, Ryan's dad is a demon. So we find that out. Ryan's dad is a demon. He comes down, comes up from hell to help. There's a female demon named Cass, and I don't remember what the second male demon is, but basically they are in that town, one, for Dax to have dinner with Ryan because he has to have like some kind of form with his son.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Ryan doesn't even know he's a demon?
Ryan has no idea.
Ryan, you're a fucking idiot.
So what happened was Lucifer decided that people from hell would go up to the human world to try to have babies with people to see if they could also become demons. To try to like not take over the world, but like make more offspring. Ryan's just human. He didn't get any of the demon. And
did other demons have demon babies?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ryan's just a fuck up?
Yeah, Ryan's a fuck up. So Ryan's mom couldn't have kids, and so Dax decided that if you have a kid with me, then I will make sure that you find the man of your dreams. So you get a kid and the man of your dreams, which is Ryan's stepdad.
Got it.
Yeah. So Ryan has no idea any of it. He has no idea Blair's a witch, no idea that Dax, his father, is a demon. Kind of funny. So Dax and his friend show up at the bar, Hex, to have a drink. And that's when Blair sees the dad. And she goes, you know what? Ryan just cheated on me with another girl from the group. And we're going to get back at him. And she can't use magic because she's already fucked up twice. So she's on the council's radar. So she's like, we're gonna do his dad. And then
fuck his dad.
Then she starts to fall in love with him. And then she starts helping. So Lucifer sends Dax and the friend up to the human world because there's a demon that's going through and possessing humans, but killing them. Like they're not doing it properly. And so he's trying to stop them from doing that. Okay. And so there's kind of the FBI of like who's possessing these people and killing them. And then there's like some creatures that are trying to kill Blair, and you realize that the demon that's doing the killing is also after Blair because the demon wants Blair's powers. So it's kind of they're working together to figure out who is doing all these killings, which is interesting. Mystery. Yeah. Which I liked that a lot. Then at one point they have to go undercover at a sex club.
Right.
Which is a lot. They really get into detail about like there was a demon spanking a fairy in one part. It's a lot to comprehend. I do like the different magical aspects of it.
Right.
And because Dax is a demon, he's got these like make it almost looks like smoke come out of him, but they also can form into shapes, and so like they would hold her
Oh.
down and stuff. I don't know.
Oh.
It was very. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but it
Oh.
really ruined it with the whole pet and daddy. I didn't
Blech.
like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. So I mean, I guess I can. Should I just tell the end of
Go for
how
it.
it?
Go for it. Go for
So
it.
the person that was doing the killings. So come to find out, Blair always felt like she couldn't fit in. She felt like she was kind of a darker witch. She
Is
just
she half demon?
yes,
Oh,
yes, she is.
fuck yeah.
She's Lucifer's daughter. She's
Oh, shit.
so come to find out, Lucifer is her dad, and he would visit her every day on her birthday because he had to go up and give some of his powers to her, so that way her body could be the half demon, half witch that it is, and not like go crazy, which I liked that aspect.
Um,
And come to find out, the person that was doing the killings was her half sister, who um, Lucifer's like right hand man went up to the main world because he had to see if any of Lucifer's offsprings were like vital in this
mm,
process. And he only said that Blair was the one. He didn't
uh,
say anything about this other person.
he messed up.
So when the other sister turned 18, her body went crazy and she had to like find a host, but she was so powerful that she would kill the host and have to go to a different
So
body
bouncing around.
because Lucifer had no idea that she was even there. So the one guy, he was banished even more to hell.
Yeah, he fucked
He
up.
was a goner. And so the sibling, the sister, stays in hell, and Lucifer makes it to where Blair can like handle her powers better, and so
Mm.
she feels more like herself. And so she stays in hell. Well, she doesn't stay in hell. She travels between hell and the mortal
More.
world.
Yeah.
And she stays with Dax. They stay together.
Wow.
And Lucifer was actually like a very caring father. It was kind of hilarious to read. Um, but yeah, so I liked that kind of like FBI-esque aspect to it.
Yeah, I like when it built a bigger world than just
Yeah.
following the couple. And that's pretty cool.
And this is actually, I had no idea. This is the first book to a series.
I was gonna say, I wonder if
There's two more. The second one, let me go on to the Goodreads. But yeah, just the spice level was like, oh my word. But I liked the Lucifer aspect of it, and like it talked about hell and stuff like that,
Mm.
and portaling, and I thought it was really good. Let's see. Yeah, so it's the Charming series. So it's Charming Your Dad, Charming the Devil, and Charming as Hell. So Charming the Devil is about Lilith, who is kind of like Lucifer's lover
Mm-hmm.
almost. Because in this book she doesn't talk very much. Like she's just always right there next to him.
Right.
And then when they have dinners together, she's right there.
That's like
And
a popular being, I guess. Lilith.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's Lilith's story of kind of like how she became like Lucifer's right hand woman,
Uh,
and then Charming as Hell is about Mara, who is the sister that Blair
oh.
never knew existed. So it's about Mara and her kind of her background and
Oh.
things like that. So, and they're beautiful covers.
Ooh. I do
So
like.
that's Charming as Hell and then Charming the Devil.
Oh, I like that. Huh.
So I think if I could, well, I'm gonna have to probably order these on Amazon again because I think it's
Oh yeah.
like an
Like
indie.
self-pub. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. And these are her like darker, I think, ones. Um, well, she's got some other ones. She actually has a lot of.
Oh.
She's a contemporary. Um, Sure, it's contemporary sweet erotica and reverse harem romances. Because it
Oh.
says in this one that um, this one is, please be advised that this book is darker than my other works. So she like warns them. But yeah, so I really liked it. It was just like super super spicy, but I liked the different characters and the different like there was at one point Blair was talking to this guy and he's a werewolf and so she like she like snaps her fingers and does something with him and like calls him a dog and he like runs scampering away and so it's kind of interesting like all the different aspects like with the fairy and the werewolves and vampires and Stevie's with a vampire and so she's got like the little dots on her and she's like, did you let her suck your blood again? She's like, I don't want to talk about it. It was there's some funny parts. I liked it. I think you'd like it.
I grabbed it.
I think you'd like it.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's jump into this.
So mine is When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. She hasn't really published a whole lot. This is her first novel. I think she's written like or published a couple of like short stories before this. But even this isn't very long. It's 237 pages.
Oh, that's short.
And and it opens with, how do I show you? I don't know how to explain this. Like italicized, like little things, and that's kind of throughout. And you realize, okay, so this is. Should I just read the back?
Yeah.
More than a decade ago, Mira fled Kipson, her small segregated hometown in the South, to forget. With every mile she traveled, she distanced herself from her past, from her best friend, Celine, mocked by their town as the only white girl with black friends, from her old neighborhood, from the eerie woodsman plantation rumored to be haunted by the spirits of slaves, from the terrifying memory of a ghost she saw on that terrible day when a dare gone wrong almost got Jesse, the boy she secretly loved, arrested for murder. Now Mira is back in Kipson to attend Celine's wedding at the plantation that has been transformed into a lush vacation resort. Mira hopes to reconnect with her friends, especially with Jesse, so she can finally tell him the truth about her feelings and the events of that devastating long ago day. For all its fancy renovations, the Woodsman's remains a monument to its oppressive racist history. The bar serves antebellum-themed drinks, entertainment includes horrifying reenactments, and the service staff is nearly all black. The darkest elements of the plantation's past, that slaves were tortured mercilessly, have been carefully erased. As the weekend unfolds, Mira, Jesse, and Celine are forced to acknowledge their history together and to save themselves from what is to come. So, I gave this a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I think it's classified as horror. I would say it's horrific stuff, but not like scary horror.
Okay.
It's like this plantation in this town was a tobacco plantation, and so the owners had slaves, and there's like awful stories of like what the slave owners used to do, and like the wife used to keep a little girl because she couldn't have daughters of her own, but she kind of treated her more of like a dog than a little girl, and
okay,
awful things. And eventually it got super run down, and then like now it's that like creepy haunted place by the river. And over time, a lot of bodies have appeared around the plantation dead, and it's usually always white people. And so there's Mira, whose mom is like, she keeps her house in this really like poverty-ridden area, like super nice. The lawn is clean. She has flower beds. And so everyone kind of thinks that like she thinks she's above everybody else.
Okay.
And there's Jesse, who lives with his uncle and his aunt. He loves photography, and so he's always carrying around a camera. And then there's Celine, who's like the poor white girl who lives in the black neighborhood. And so they all call her trash and blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So this is that little friend group. And one day, Jesse just really wants to go find the mansion and like just look around and see if all the stories are true. Celine does not want to go, but Mira wants to, like, she's like secretly in love with Jesse, so she's like, I'm a go. Because,
Okay.
you know,
Yep.
they go. And it's a really long way through, like, the woods to get to this mansion. And it's, like, super decrepit. It's, like, about to fall over. And they go in. And Mira just gets a really creepy feeling. And she's like, I want to go. And he's like, okay, fine. You can wait outside. I just want to take pictures of upstairs. Then I'll come get you. And then we can go. She's like, okay.
This is
So
not
she
going to
goes
end well.
outside. It, like, feels like forever. And she, like, sees movement from the corner of her eye, and she looks at a window because she thinks it's Jesse finally coming out. But she sees a man, like, covered in blood and, like, just staring at her. She screams and runs away.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So catches up to Jesse. He's like, what happened? I heard you scream and you were gone. And she doesn't tell him what she saw. She's like, oh, it was nothing. I was just creeped out. It was the next day. The body of one of the old men who lived in a house kind of in that area. He had, like, his great grandfather used to be, like, work at the plantation. He was one of, like, the overseers.
Okay.
It was a white guy. His body washes up on the riverbank by the mansion. And they go, like, police come through the mansion. Jesse the door was locked, so he punched through a glass window. He started bleeding, so they found his blood and, like, fingerprints on stuff. So they arrest Jesse.
Oh, damn.
Because they think he's the only one out there. And so
Yeah.
Mira goes to the police, like, trying to explain, like, I saw someone, but she can't really describe what she saw. Because she's like, I don't, like, it was a ghost. So she's like, I could have sworn someone else was out there. Like, I saw him in the window. And they're like, can you describe what he looks like? Like, was he white? Was he black? And she's like, yes, no.
Red. He was red. He
was bloody. Like, so they don't believe her because the officer is like, oh, like, have you been friends with Jesse for a long time? And she's like, yeah. And so he's like, I think you're trying to get this boy you like out of jail. Eventually, she tells them, like, you can ask Celine. I went with Jesse. Like, and so eventually they ask Celine, proves his story. And so they release Jesse. So he was never actually convicted. But being in this awful, awful town, everyone treats him like he actually got away with murder. So he eventually drops out of school and eventually leaves the state. But Mira leaves. She got a scholarship to a school out of state. So after she graduated, she just left and never looked back. And her mom did the same when this super rich guy, I forget what his name is, buys the plantation and, like, a lot of the surrounding houses for the land.
Okay.
So Mira's mom sold, got a lot of money, is, like, on the coast somewhere living her best life.
Love it.
But he renovated the mansion so it's, like, beautiful. It's a tourist attraction now, and it's like there's fake slave houses you can see and, like, reenactments and of, like, awful things, and, like, everything's beautiful. It's mostly white tourists and they're having their drinks and walking around. And Celine calls Mira. They haven't talked since she left. But she's like, I just bought my old best friend at my wedding. I'm getting married on this plantation. And Mira's like, that's an awful idea. And Celine's like, well, I already talked to Jesse. He's coming. He agreed. He's so happy. And so she's like, oh, Jesse.
Well, now I have
to. Well, okay, fine, I'll go.
Yeah.
Shows up. She, like, looks around and it's crazy. Like the slave cabins have air conditioning in them. So, like, the people looking at them like, oh, I could have lived in this. And it's like,
yeah, sure.
So, yeah, she goes to the rehearsal dinner. She meets the fiance. He's, like, a older dude.
Okay.
Who is, like, the offspring of a tobacco company owner, and but he's a dentist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, like,
all right.
There's, like, rumors to, like, Is he just doesn't want to be a part of the tobacco business what his family did, or is the tobacco business not doing well and they had to do something else? But she catches up with Jesse, and turns out he works at the plantation. He's one of the servant guys.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to. Okay. So after the rehearsal dinner, Jesse got kicked out because Celine's dad is a crazy alcoholic racist, and so in his crazy mind,
Okay.
Jesse's the murderer, and so he starts yelling that,
Oh
and like
God.
just gets
Okay.
kicked out because Celine's like, no, stay. He
Mhm.
leaves, catches up with Mira, explains what he's been doing there, kind of.
Okay.
Mira apologizes for like not trying to do more when he was arrested.
Mhm.
And Celine had told Mira to like come find her after the rehearsal dinner, like what her room she's
Mhm.
staying in. Goes to talk to Celine, and she's like, "Oh, do you like my fiance?" And she was just like, "I don't know, do you love him?" And it took a kind of a weird way of like, because he's like a lot older.
Okay.
And so it kind of turns into this. Mira gets the feeling of like maybe she doesn't want to get married, like maybe she's doing all of this just to prove that she's not the poor white girl there
Mhm.
anymore.
Mhm.
But she was like, if you don't want to go through with this, just don't go through with this. And then
Mhm.
Celine's like, well, there's always divorce. And so Mira's like, good
Mm.
night, Celine, and she leaves.
Mm.
Next morning, Celine's missing, gone, no
Okay.
call. She was like late to a hair appointment or something because it's wedding day now. And so
Mhm.
Mira goes to like look for her, and she goes out into the tobacco fields where reenactments are done.
Mhm.
And she sees a scene of like a bunch of slaves like digging a hole, and there's a white guy like overseeing like hurry up, and then has more slaves bringing like a burlap sack and drops it and said, oh, this is the guy who was running the revolt, and pulls him out, and yeah, gets an axe. So she runs screaming.
Oh, I thought it was Celine in the burlap. Okay. Okay. Guys, if you could see me right now, I like have my hands over
Shaking.
my mouth. I'm just entranced by this. Okay, continue.
Mira runs screaming. She like trips, falls, like gets knocked out, wakes up, and it's Jesse holding her like, what is happening? Mira explains what she saw, and Jesse's like, okay, take me where you saw that.
Mhm.
She's okay. And so she goes out to where she saw, and it's just flat ground. Like there's no hole that they're digging, no one's out there. And so Jesse's like, okay, I need to explain. So he takes her back to his place, brings out like a file. He's been doing deep research on everything about the plantation.
Mhm.
It's like why he's working there so he can get more information.
That makes more sense because I was like, why would he put himself through the place where
I
he
know
was like
that's what
convicted
Mira
of
was like, what the
murder?
hell are you doing here still?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So he has been seeing these ghosts throughout the plantation, just like walking around. He like knows every worker and their like routine, and then he'll see someone walking and be like, where are they going? Like it's closing time, like you should be headed, and they're just wandering.
Mhm.
And he kind of gets to the point where tonight, the wedding night, is the anniversary of a revolt that some of the slaves set up to try to escape, that someone told the plantation owner about.
Okay.
And so most of them got caught and killed. And that was the anniversary of it was going to be that night.
Oh God.
And so Mira's like, are you saying that like the ghosts are killing people on the plantation? Because throughout history, there's been random
Mhm.
killings and murders.
Mhm.
And so he's like, I'm pretty sure that they're just going to kill all the people there. And so like, you should wait here with me,
Yeah.
but like they're killing white people as like a revenge thing.
Okay. Okay.
So Mira's like, no, I'm going to go tell them. Because you're just going to let, like, everybody die. He's like, well, do you remember talking to the police? Like, they're not going to believe you.
Valid.
It's like, fair.
Yeah.
And so she races back. She finds out that the fiance had actually called off the wedding because he can't find Celine. She gets back, and there's like a mob of like angry people, like run by like Celine's dad, but just like yelling and screaming. And she sees the fiance, and she's like, "What the hell is happening?" And he's like, "Well, I was wandering out in the fields, and I saw Celine dead. Like she was
Oh.
just there." And so he just ran back, and her dad thinks it was Jesse. Just assumes it was Jesse.
Oh my
And now
god.
it's a mob of angry white people. And Mira's like, what the hell is happening? Where did you see Celine? Like, I'm gonna run out there and like,
Yeah, why is no one helping her?
because they're angry and she's the only black lady in this whole wedding guest party.
Oh
And like
goodness.
people are like running like to like leave the plantation because they were just there getting day drunk this whole time.
Yeah.
And so like they're leaving, everyone's leaving, and then there's this mob. So she runs to go to the area where he says Celine was.
Mhm.
And then she sees a lady in white,
Okay.
like those.
Of course. Always lady in white.
And so she's like, oh, what the hell? And like kind of follows it into the mansion. And she like gets kind of like knocked out in a sense.
Okay.
So she wakes up, she's in a room in the mansion. And then it's this whole scene of like the ghosts were leading her through the events that happened on that night of the revolt. So
Oh.
like lined up with some of the slaves, and then the white men come and like buy one, go to
Yeah.
a room, and then ends up upstairs, and she sees the wife with the little girl. Her name was Lucy,
Mhm.
who was like her pet.
Yeah.
Sees her like telling her goodnight and like putting her in a cage and locking it. And she's like, I need to get her out. And so she like sneaks into the room, but then hears someone come in, and like she hides, and it's one of the slaves like comes and lets Lucy out, like rushes her out, and he's
Mhm.
holding a knife, and he goes up to the now sleeping wife.
Oh.
He's like trying to get the nerve to actually
Do it.
kill her.
Yeah.
Then a shot happens outside, and she wakes up screaming. The owner comes running in. Mira runs out, and then where is it? She like fell down the stairs, blacked out again, woke up. She's in a barn. This is the worst part.
Oh god.
She's like hiding in the hay because it's two guys throw one of the slaves down, and that's like
Mhm.
one of the leaders
Okay.
of the revolt. And the plantation owner, Roman, comes in. He's like, oh, is that one of the guys? And one of the guards, I guess, his name is Henry. And he's like, yeah, I found him. Like kind of talking himself up, but Roman's like, this was on your watch, Henry. You fucked up. I'll deal with you later. Get out of here. Henry turns out to be the great grandfather, the ancestor of the white guy that Jesse was almost arrested for killing.
Oh.
So now it's just Roman and I forget what his name is, and the slave who was captured.
Mhm.
And you find out Roman's whole deal because he's like, even if you leave, even if I kill you, you're still useful because I can sell your body parts. He had run into a guy years before and was like, his shoes were like really nice and like they didn't squeak and they didn't crease. And he asked him, like, oh, where'd you get your shoes? And it was Negro skin, leather. And so he's like, so I can use your skin. And that's like what he's been doing. So even if he kills a slave, he uses them afterwards to sell.
Oh damn.
So, like, this guy's like tied up, and so he's like, so I'm gonna start, and you'll either pass out from the pain or from blood loss. So he starts carving his face.
Oh, why would he start there? Okay.
And
Okay.
so, yeah, the guy eventually does pass out, and he's carving his face. And he takes the skin off. It's all bloody and stuff. And the guy's like looking at it, the face. And then he puts it on like a mask. And then she realizes that the mask that all these guys are wearing, like who was buying the slave women in that other room, they were wearing masks, black masks.
Mm-hmm.
It was leather, skin leather. And then Roman turned like while wearing that face and bloodied.
Mm-hmm.
She realizes that's the guy she saw in the window.
Oh my word. Chills. I got
Exactly
chills.
like that. Bloodied with the
Chills.
mask. She passes out and she wakes up. She's by the river, or like kind of close to the river. And Jesse's like trying to wake her up, like, what the hell's going on? And Mira's like, there is a mob coming to try to kill you. Like,
Yeah.
they're on a rampage. I don't know why, but I feel like we need to get to the river. She found out the slaves, the revolt, their plan was to go down through the river.
Oh, okay.
Because that's like the only way to get out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to get to the river, but it's such a long way, and then they hear the fiance like coming up. So they hide, and then she sees the ghost lady again,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to lead her in one direction. And then she like went to like tell Jesse like, okay, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But the ghost lady was like, no, like just you. Like she stopped. And so Mira leaves just alone, follows the ghost lady, and runs into the fiance. And he's like crying, like yelling out for Celine, because he saw the ghost lady too, and saw a woman in white and assumed that was Celine, like playing a joke on him, like,
Oh
you
no.
thought I was gonna see you, here I am in my wedding dress. And like he's like a mess, he's holding a gun, and Mira's like, what are you doing? And like he's like, I thought Celine was playing a joke on me, like, hi, you thought I was dead, here I am. And she's like, did you kill Celine? And he's like, we got an argument. She said she didn't want to get married anymore, and I didn't mean to. I just grabbed her really hard, and like, yeah, he killed Celine.
Oh my gosh.
And he's holding a gun, and Mira's like, uh-huh. Like, oh, and so he's like, well, now you know. And so Mira's like, maybe that was Celine. Let's go find her.
Yeah.
And somehow he starts thinking that like bugs swarm his face, but it's the ghost doing something, like swarming with like bugs or something, because he keeps like swatting around his face and like, get off me, get off me.
Mm-hmm.
Falls backward, ends up shooting the gun. He's dead on the ground.
I
Mira's
knew
like,
that
oh,
was.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yes, he finds her because he heard the gunshot, but like so did the mob.
Oh goodness.
And so she's like, we need to get to the river. He's like, we're not gonna make it to the river. They're looking for me.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go run. You go to the river. And don't look back. Like, never come back to this town. Promise me. You're never gonna come back. And she's, crying, blah, blah, blah. And so, like, she's trying to convince him. And he goes, like, Mira, promise me. And then just turns and books it, going, here I am. Towards the mob. Running. She's, like, kind of hiding behind brush. Sees him running. And then they all just start shooting in his direction. And he falls. And she's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's still kind of hiding, and they eventually, like, they hear rustling in the background.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what is that? And they're like, is it Jeremy? Like, what is happening? And they all kind of get creeped out. And they're like, let's just go.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mob goes cheering. And she runs up to Jesse, like she's checking his whole body, like where did he get shot? Like she can kind of hear a breath. She like flips him over, trying to like find the gunshot wound, like feeling under his shirt, and he goes trying to cop a feel. And she's like, "What? No, I was." And she's like, "It was a joke. It's a joke." And he just like got hit really hard in the head when he fell. And she's like, "What the hell happened? Like you got shot. Like they were all shooting at you." And then it clicks in her head, like, "You never saw the mob, did you?" She realizes that was the mob of white men hunting the slaves, so they were all ghosts. And he was just running because that's what she was saying was there. And he just tripped and fell and hit his head really hard.
Oh my God.
And so, what happens from there? I'm trying to remember.
That is wild.
It's like almost daybreak. They go to the river and they see the ghost lady. They go to the river, and then in the water, he's like, do you see that? Like, what is that? Is that a log? And she looks, and it's Celine's dad floating upside down in the river. So the fiance's dead. Her dad is dead. And so Mira's like, well, I mean, those were the ones who are going to, like, hunt you down.
Yeah.
So they go back out front of the plantation, and it's almost morning. And so they're like, we'll just leave this for the police to figure out. It kind of just looks like the fiance murdered Celine, and then dad killed the fiance, and like they can figure it out.
Yeah.
And so they go on with their lives.
Wow. What happens to Celine's body? Do they not? I'm assuming the
They
police
eventually
find
find
her.
it.
Okay.
Soon that
I'm like, what?
yeah.
Like, what happened to her? Okay.
She
Wow.
did.
Wow. That is wild. Wow. That does sound like a good book, though.
Yeah. It wasn't like horror and like scary, creepy. It's just like horrific events.
Yeah. Well, that time was horrific, so my brain would.
Was.
Twas, yeah. Wow,
Like
that's not good
it was
though.
just like little details of like how they were describing once the mansion was renovated and this tourist thing, like all the workers were black and like none of them had name tags because what's the point? And
Oh
like
my word.
she tipped the bartender girl for her drink, and she was like shocked, and she was like, "Oh, what?" And she was like, "Oh, we just usually don't get tips, but thank you." And it's just like little things that's like, what the fuck?
Wow. That's crazy. That sounds like a really good book though.
It was so fast. I read it all yesterday. I knew I wanted to read it all in one go, so I waited till the weekend.
Yeah.
And those little forgot those little italicized paragraph breaks
yeah.
between the stories.
Yeah.
It's like the slaves talking about their day, or like how like throughout the revolt of like the progression of what was happening.
Wow.
And the writing is beautiful. The prose is amazing. It's so like poetic and atmospheric. Like, let me see. Let me find one of the.
Yeah, it seems like a shorter book. Like Charming Your Dad I read in 2 days.
Mm-hmm. It's just like beautiful writing.
Well, the cover was beautiful. I like just
it's like
it.
I guess that's the river.
Oh, okay. Kind of is giving me like Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah, it's like
vibes.
swampy, rivery area. Yeah. Anyways, I didn't know how to explain that quickly.
Well, I didn't explain
like
mine.
The horrifying parts is like the little details of like.
Yeah. I get that.
Terrifying. When it described him cutting his face.
That is, oh my word. Oh, goodness graciousness.
And like that's why she couldn't describe if he was like white or black, because he has.
Oh, yeah, that's a rough one.
A doozy.
I don't think we need to do rowdy 1-star reviews on, well, because I mean we can,
I think.
but
So I'm definitely gonna read your book.
I want to read your book, as
My-
terrifying as it is
Oof, the
about that.
detail is really what creeps you out. I read it
Well,
outside in the daytime.
that's probably smart.
Yeah.
This book is very spicy. I read
On the ranking, where would you put it?
5 out of 5. I made Dean read some parts and he goes, "What are you reading?"
Did he read over your shoulder?
No, I handed it to him and I was just like,
Oh.
read this part. He's like, "What are you reading?" Yeah, it's wild. Like when we read some romance books, they'll
Mhm.
say like pardon your sex, or they'll use
Yeah.
like some terms like that. No one gets like to the nitty-gritty
Oh.
parts. And there's toys. This
Oh.
whole book is just,
Wow.
I mean, he is a demon.
Fair.
So, yeah. And his full name is like Daxodon or something like that, but he goes by Dax. Yeah. There's Dax, Cass, and then I don't remember what the third guy was. Oh, Asmo.
And
And
now you're gonna be
like,
like, John.
no. And then, well, and then like at one point, so Stevie is, she might just be lesbian. I don't remember if Stevie's bi or just lesbian, but at one point, so because Dax is a demon, he can portal. Like if he just imagines a room, he can like put himself in that room. And so
Wow.
at one point, he portals into Blair's house, and it's um, Stevie, Cass, and Asmo having a threesome on the couch. And they're like, "Are you just gonna stand there and join, or are you gonna leave?" And he's like, "I can't with you guys." And I'm like, "What is happening?"
Just casual.
I'm like, "What?" Yeah. So there's like things like that. I was like, I don't even know what I'm reading, but okay.
But okay.
But okay.
We are.
Here we are. Yeah, and then I was thinking to myself, I just read like a dark romance, and then we're gonna read another dark romance next week.
Ooh, oh God, that's right. Oh no.
I'm like,
Happening, you guys.
am I like 10 pages in maybe? I'm like I don't think I'm 20 pages in. We're we're getting into
Happening.
we're getting into it.
Next week, we are finally reading Haunting Adeline.
I'm like I said, I don't even think I'm 20 pages in, and already there's a guy being tortured, and both of his Achilles heels has been like
Oh.
severed.
Oh.
And yeah.
Oh.
The illustrations though are beautiful in that book.
Oh. I saw
So
pictures.
every chapter starts like with a picture. So
Oh.
I didn't realize, but I what I'm getting at is it's basically about this girl who her great grandparents owned this huge mansion, and her mom wasn't really like a mom, and so she lived with her grandparents who lived in the mansion.
Okay.
And when they passed, they gave her the house,
Oh,
and
God.
she's a writer. So she didn't go there for a while, like I think it was almost a year. So when she gets back to the house, it's like all kind of like cobwebby and
Right, run
like
down.
mothbally and stuff like that. And the mom's like, "I don't understand why you want to stay there. Like that place is just old and run down." And she's like, "You have no idea like the memories that I have here with Nana and things like that." And so she wants to keep it. Well, I think there's a part where like obviously there's the guy we kind of know stalking
Mm-hmm.
Adeline. So the main character's name is Adeline. And I mean, you kind of get that from the back of the book when reading it,
Right. Yeah.
but there's two POVs, so it's Adeline's and then the guy's that's stalking her. But you also there's some parts in the book where you'll see like it looks like a journal entry, but it's dated
Oh.
back in like the 40s, and so I think the grandma was also being stalked, but I have no idea. I don't know.
What?
But it's just like there's a part where you'll read and she's just like, "I saw the guy out there last night with the top hat," and it's kind of like it scared me, but I didn't want to tell my husband because then he would like go get the shotgun but it's dated like 1944 or something like that. So
Huh.
I'm like, is this the grandma? Is this
Oh.
someone else? Like I'm very
Yeah.
confused on who this journal entry is of. And
Ooh.
so yeah. But I'm
Looking
like,
like a mystery.
but it's beautiful illustrations. And then I made Dean also read the trigger warnings. He was like, gunplay. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, like we were not aware of this when we bought it.
We
But
really weren't. I had no idea. I knew it was a dark romance, but goddamn.
yeah, it gets
You were
dark. So
dark.
it's like 500 something pages. It's a she thick.
She did.
So
We'll get there. I
we'll
should
get
start
there.
today. I should start.
Like I said, I'm like maybe not even 20 pages in. I just wanted to like kind of start reading, and then I was like, I think I'd rather watch some Bob's Burgers. So
I mean, yeah, I should start and take breaks. Bob Burgers
yeah,
breaks.
I'm sure yeah. Like I said, already we're chopping Achilles' heels. I was not prepared for this amount.
Goddamn.
It's wild. So yeah,
But
that's
after
next
what
week.
I just read, maybe it'll be a little
A little light read.
light read. Oh, well, if you want to see what else we are reading for this month, check out our Instagram at Baby Got Stacks Podcast. We post the monthly schedule towards the end of the previous month, so stay tuned. We have
Yes.
November and December already lined up.
Look at us go.
Very excited. We also have a link in our bio there to other places we're at, like Goodreads. You can see if we're reading anything else.
Yeah.
Like and follow wherever you're listening to this podcast. Sorry, this one's a little late, but I woke up at 8 and I was like, I can sleep in, and then it was 11, so
It
didn't
happens.
see that one coming.
It's Sunday, you know.
It's Sunday.
You gotta rejuvenate, get some sleep in. It happens. It happens. We're human. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, well, I think that's it from us. So thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.